Why do we get burnt out? We often think that we'll never get bored of the things that we find to be most enjoyable, and while that may be true, from what I've learnt over the past literally few days, being bored of something and being burnt out with something can feel really similar. And I've realised something. With me in filmmaking, I wasn't bored of it, I was just really, really burnt out. I treated filmmaking, making videos in the way that I did, like a job. And I didn't actually enjoy the process because of that. And I want to share with you how that exactly started, how I started treating filmmaking like a job rather than treating it like, just a hobby, which it was meant to be. The story goes a little something like this. So, a little under a year ago, my last school year started, year 13, and I promised myself that I was going to start vlogging in my school's gym every single day. I was going to start vlogging the workouts I do in the early morning, which would last about 45 minutes. And bear in mind, that 45 minutes without vlogging, it was really hectic. It was really jam-packed. The rest times were minimal and the workouts were really, really intense. I'd get really, really sweaty. I'd be having to, catch my breath and stuff. It was hard, intense, but I liked it. At the time, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But when I decided to actually start vlogging my workouts, everything just became all over the place, because I didn't consider this at the time, but the actual time it takes to set up the camera and, moving it around and deciding what to say to camera and stuff, it was really, really long. Bear in mind, all in that condensed 45 minutes. So essentially what I had was a whole damn workout I'd have to get done in 45 minutes. And on top of that, a whole damn vlog I'd have to make in the same 45 minutes that was already just so condensed. So you take something that's so condensed and you add in more matter and it becomes even more condensed and unstable. And long story short, I could only keep that up for a few days. That daily vlog, I could only keep that up for a few days before I was like, man, this is tiring. So what I decided to do to make things a bit more easier for me, I decided to spread things a bit more out. Because bear in mind, my last year of school, I also had A-levels, and I'd have to be revising for that as well. So everything was just so condensed, and I just told myself, I got to spread things out. So it took me from going one day to make a video to a week. And then slowly but gradually it went from a week to 2 weeks, and next thing I know, it took me a whole damn month to make just one video. And I remember, because it take me a whole month to make a video, there's in my mind, there's so much pressure to make the video I'd put out for that month just a really, really good video. A really, really good video. And when it would flop, it'd make me feel really bad, because I was like, damn, why did this thing flop? I thought I made it really, really good. Why did it flop? Long story short, I started treating filmmaking and YouTube like a job. Like something that if I didn't do, I wouldn't get paid for. Even when I'm not even monetized on YouTube, I don't earn anything from it. I just do it for the pure love of the game. What ended up happening was I ended up losing that passion that I had in the very beginning. At the start of the year, I ended up losing the passion that I once had. I stopped enjoying the process. In episode 1, you would have heard me saying that, I hated the editing, I hated the color grading, I hated the storyboarding. But everything else was, now that I look back on it, it wasn't even that bad. And one thing I've realised is, it's only from doing this podcast and sitting down in front of the camera and speaking every day that I realised that, maybe I didn't lose the passion, but maybe I was just really, really burnt out. Maybe I just forgot how to have fun with the thing. And what I'm getting at here is, you only really lose passion for something you really, really like when you start treating it like a job. When you start treating it like a thing you have to do, or else. When I started caring about the numbers and the views I'd get and the watch time I'd get, it really just messed up my mind, because that's the only metric I was shooting for. I didn't shoot for whether I actually enjoyed making the video, not whether I actually found the thing interesting. I was literally a slave to the numbers. And it was only from doing this podcast and kind of having to let go of that whole idea of views or everything thing that I've been like, okay, damn, it's not even so bad. Because I'll be honest, with this podcast, I've been getting way less views than I normally would have gotten over the past few months. And doing this, forcing myself to do this. It's kind of been humbling because it's like, yeah, it doesn't even matter. As long as you know that what you're doing will improve you in the long run and what you're doing is something you actually enjoy, you can do it forever. Recently, I read the intro to Ali Abdaal's book called Feel Good Productivity. And the one thing he's talking about is exactly the same thing as I'm talking about. In that when you start treating what you love doing like a job, you're pretty much going to start hating it because it's a job. But when you start having fun with something, when you find a way to make something fun, you'll actually want to do more of the thing. And the mistake I made was, like I said before, is caring about the numbers too much. Caring about the numbers really, really just kind of extinguished that spark, that flame I once had, that passion I once had for filmmaking, for making videos in that way. It just extinguished it completely. When you look at the numbers and stuff, it's very disheartening because you're like, oh man, I'm not making any progress, I'm not growing, I'm not getting any better. But one thing I've often heard a lot is there's a lot of growth that's being made under the surface. It's like a bamboo root. Have you ever heard of them? It's a tree that grows underground a lot before you can ever see it above ground. You basically plant the seeds, and I think it's for the first 4 years for a bamboo root, you don't see nothing. You don't see nothing above ground, but it's growing underneath. And then all of a sudden, after like 4 years or something, or a few years, it just spurts out and it starts growing like crazy. The reason I'm talking about a bamboo root is because maybe that's what most things are all about. For example, if you have a business and it's not really taking off, or if you have a YouTube channel that's not really taking off, like me, maybe there's just a bunch of growth being made under the surface that you can't see, and that you just have to keep on going until you do see that growth, that spark, which will happen if you keep on improving. This video has gone off on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, the whole point of this video, or this episode rather, is whatever it is that you're doing, don't do what I did and treat it like a job. Because when you treat stuff like a job, it actually becomes a job, and it becomes a chore and a bore, and you don't want to do the thing. That's purpose. That's episode 9. This episode was a bit all over the place. I apologize. I will get better. If you stuck around to this point, thank you for sticking with it. This episode, I feel, was very all over the place, and you still stuck with it. So genuinely thank you. I'm grateful for you, and I'll see you on episode 10 in a bit.